In October 2020, French President Emmanuel Macron announced a new draft law that restricts the right of women to wear the Islamic veil in public places, and the Senate and the Parliamentary National Committee believed last July, and will enter into force soon. The new law prohibits women with their children on school trips from wearing the veil, and prevents veiled women from visiting their children inside the school or nurseries, and from participating in a sporting event or a competition hosted by a sports federation, in a context in which the French Football Association is considered the only international body that prevents veiled women from participating in sports. After a session of the Senate's ratification of the law, the women launched the Hands Off Me Hijab campaign, and supported by a prominent Muslim woman like the Joy of Muhammad, she is the first veiled American Olympic athlete, the Somali model, Rada Mohammed, and a member of the American Congress Ilhan Omar. This was not the first time that French and political law violated the rights of Muslim women. Rather, there are other violations, the most prominent of which are, FIFA allows the players to wear the veil since 2014. News of the ban was reached to the French football team in the past months, which includes Muslim players, reported that they were forced to choose between their passion and their religion. These girls have formed a team called Les Hijabeuses and decided to withstand. Last May, the General President of the Republic Party, REM, affiliated with French President Emmanuel Macron, withdrew the party's support for one of the party's candidates, Sarah Zamahi, after she wore the veil at her campaign poster, and politicians demanded the enactment of law that prevents veiled women from running for leadership positions. France's politicians launched an attack on Mariam Baudido, the elected president of the National Student Union at the Sorbonne University in 2018, after she appeared in her veil on French television. Some judged Mary as non-feminist because of her modest uniforms, and considered her election as a desecration of universities, and the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo placed a caricature of Mary with rough features similar to the monkey. 2 years after that incident, members of a parliamentary investigation committee over the consequences of the coronavirus rejected a hearing of young representatives, due to the presence of Mariam, which is described by Interior Minister Gerard Collomb in separatism. The French Muslim singer, Mani Elliptism, was forced to withdraw from the voice competition in April 2018 after the violent reaction from French Vision, and their published old publications on social media. In 2017, the director of a consulting company dismissed his employee because he did not want to see her in the veil, and he argued before the Court of Cassation that it was the customer who asked the employee to take off her veil, and asked him to intervene to force her to take off, and the company president said that the separation procedure aims to protect the interests of the company. He pointed out that the veil disturbed some of the company's customers, and indeed, the court did not rule in favor of the employee, noting that the company should take into account the diversity of customers and their beliefs and respect. In 2016, a 16-year-old girl was allowed to enter her high school, due to her length of enlightenment, whose director considered a violation within a public institution and a religious brand. While the State Council and the legitimacy did not separate the wearing of long skirts in secondary schools, this incident revealed a number of similar incidents. After the inauguration of the tag "I wear my enlightenment as I like." In 2016, the Minister of Family, Children and Women's Rights attacked Lawrence Rossignol, veiled, describing them as attorneys of slavery like American, and accused them of activity in political Islam. After banning the veil at the university in 2015, a draft law aimed to impose a neutral appearance on the nannies working in the homes or nurseries, and the law states that, in the absence of a special permit from the parents stipulated in the work contract, the nannies working in the house are obligated with religious neutrality, no visible religious signs, that is, no veil. University from attending their classes in public and university schools if they wear clear religious symbols, such as head cover, scarf or turban, and then prevented Jewish, Muslims and Sikhs from going to school, after undergoing disciplinary and threat sessions. The law targeted Muslims, and caused dozens of minority children, most of whom were Muslim girls, in the first year of its implementation, chose about 150 students to leave the school voluntarily, and the numbers declined in the following 3 years. The children expelled from the school faced the law stigmatized the stigma of excluding them from the French society, and that their identities are the basis of their deprivation of education, as the law caused their leakage of education, and there are only 60 Islamic schools in France, unlike more than 8,000 Catholic schools. While France is now the largest number of Muslims in Europe, with an estimated number of 4.7 million, and they represent 7.5% of the French. Islamic education became unavailable with the introduction of a law in 2018, which stipulated that the managers and teachers of private schools should hold French citizenship, with the possibility of closing the rest of the Islamic schools with the separatist anti-separatist law, and given the poor economic reality of the majority of Muslims in France becomes private education, it is impossible. Activities return to activating the #HandsOffMeach hashtag, after a controversy raised by the European Union Supreme Court after they were vacated by companies to prevent Muslim employees from wearing the veil in certain circumstances. The court said that preventing wearing anything represents an expression of political, philosophical, or religious beliefs in the workplace may be justified by the employer by the necessity of providing a neutral image of customers or preventing any social quarrels. Tweeters described the decision as unfair, and they criticized the deprivation of women of their right to freedom of religious practices, and bloggers stressed the necessity of protecting the right of Muslim women in Europe to wear the veil, and that the decision contradicts the principles of freedom and enhances the hatred of Islam. The European decision witnessed a global reaction on Twitter, and the media, Yasmin Bandas, wrote, "Western countries, the veil is repressive because no one should force you to wear something. Western countries also, don't wear it when you go to work." Another example of how Islamophobia continues at its height, this decision will only increase the marginalization of Muslim women, and to create more inequality and divisions in society. The court ruling is not fair, Zara Mohammed wrote. And Johanna tweeted with the two people, "It is not my hijab that haunts you, but your racism and the hatred of your foreigners that make you uncomfortable with my hijab." As for the activist Dana al-Badarin, she said, "My life has seen normalized racism, and it is not that it is narrated, even the media may, like, racism against the veiled women." This news and this ruling gives the right to the heads of the work that they prevent the veil in their companies in Europe in full and from the European Court of Justice.